Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing another character file review video, and it's going to be on Nick Harper from My Family. Now, Nick made his first appearance in the first ever episode of My Family way back in 2000. I can't believe My Family had that long ago. It's way before I was born. I mean, it's mad. Yeah, and he was played by Kris Marshall, who's a truly amazing actor. The way he portrayed Nick, I think, was so funny. It came off so funny. There's those episodes where he does the exorcism thing and all of that stuff, and all of his crazy schemes like Nick Bits Online and Millionaire.com, the Action Man Repair business. I think it was like Brian Miles, the magician. Those kind of stuff that he did were just truly funny. And when he worked at that supermarket and took all that tuna and like a big tuna thief and all that sort of stuff, truly amazing character. But Nick was born on the 15th of June, around 1980 to 1982. It's not actually explicitly said which year, but it's around that time period. And I really do love the kind of arguments that he has with Ben. Like, they disagree, but you can tell that they like each other, and they're good father and son bonding. But they kind of argue so much, but it's really funny to watch. And I find it so entertaining that they argue like that, but they always make up and always thing that. And Ben says it how it is. He's a Wally, and yeah, he was truly amazing though as Nick. Kris Marshall is a great actor, as probably said already. Obviously, he went on to be in Death in Paradise and Beyond Paradise, and he did a truly amazing role in that as well. But yeah, Nick will always stand out as being one of the best characters in My Family. I think the show, not to say the show wasn't as good after he left, but it definitely lost something. The characters they tried to replace him with, such as the Australian guy Craig, and I'd have to say Alfred Butts, they tried to replace him. Those characters didn't really quite hit the mark of Nick, obviously from My Family, who was just an amazing character. And I really did enjoy his relationship with Michael as well, how they would have that kind of banter as well, and that thing about the arm wrestle thing in one of the episodes. And obviously Michael wins, which is a bit ironic considering like Nick's like a fully grown man, and it's just funny. And something else I might mention is that the age difference between Nick and Kris Marshall is ridiculous. It's like 9 or 10 years or something ridiculous. It's completely mad. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. So Nick appeared in the first 5 series of My Family, obviously from Series 1, Episode 1, all the way until the 2005 comic release special, was his last appearance. And then from that point onwards, Nick kind of gets mentioned a few times. There's a few postcards and letters and things like that. But beyond that, we never really see Nick again, really, which is a bit of a shame. But in the episode Kenzo's School Project, we see old reused clips of Nick, and that's kind of interesting as well. He appeared in the first 5 series, and the first 5 series of My Family are definitely solid. Like, I recommend watching them. Like, they're all available on BBC iPlayer, but I think that those episodes are truly great. Not just of Kris Marshall, but the way the whole like family of 5 works together, which I think's really great. Obviously Michael and Nick, there's that funny line, there's that funny scene in the episode where Jenny gets married, and Nick keeps on sending these videos, oh, I need to get like £5,000 or whatever, and I'm stuck in Thailand, and I did a Punch and Judy show, and all these random things, but he needs this money, otherwise I'm going to be hunted down or something, which I find really funny for Nick as a character. And turns out at the end of the episode, he was filming it the entire time in his room with Michael, which was really funny because he could have come to the wedding and all of that, but he didn't. But yeah, and I think Nick is truly my favourite character. He's not necessarily everybody's favourite character, but he's definitely my favourite character. And I think Series 4 is where Nick shines a lot. I mean, in that episode, The Best Man, he's really great in that. there's so many episodes, and also the Exorcist episode where he does that thing and he sprays the water on Ben, and he's like, whoa, whoa, like that, and it's truly amazing. And I really love the show, and I would love it if they did a reunion special, like a couple of years down the line, and we had Nick back in the show, which would have been lovely, because it was a shame that Kris Marshall never returned after that point, which I found really sad, because Nick as a character, he kind of needed to be there. He was the older brother, and he was missing for the last 6 series, which I thought was a shame. And his comic relief special, which his last appearance, wasn't as good. I've seen the comic relief special because it was up on YouTube for a bit, but disappeared. I don't know where it went. But yeah, he was only in there saying he was working out with, working with like famous people and stuff like that, and he kind of left there. It was a bit of a strange one. But his last proper appearance, I say, in the actual show, beyond like the comic relief specials and all that, is probably the episode where Janie gets married, and I talked about the gag earlier. But yeah, so that's kind of all what really happened to Nick. But definitely, I do love how Ben always calls him an idiot and things like that. It's just funny. Robert Lindsay and Kris Marshall had great chemistry together. Like, I mean, proper father and son, even though they looked nothing alike, talked nothing alike, and acted nothing alike. They were completely different, but they really worked well together. It was truly amazing to see those characters together. I want to do one on Ben as well, because Ben's a very interesting character in the series of My Family. But yeah, I think that Nick as a whole, as a character, is just truly hilarious. But I do love the relationship he has with, obviously, his second cousin, Abby, and that kind of jokiness with her as well. There are so many great episodes out there. I recommend you watch anywhere from series 1 to 5, because those 5 series are just gold. The episode where Nick gets a job at the Undertaker's and everybody thinks Ben's gonna die and all that sort of stuff. That was truly amazing. He nicks the coffin as well. I mean, what what sitcom would do that? I mean, it's so hilarious. I mean, I just recommend watching it, really. But yeah, it is truly amazing acting from Kris Marshall. I would always wanted him to play Doctor Who, but don't think that's ever going to happen. But I would love to. And My Family reunion, I would love to see that happen, because I know they did a thing on the One Show back in like 2020, 2021, like saying it was like 20 years of My Family, and they did a thing on the One Show, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, also Nick tried to be cool, but he was a bit more of a goon, if you kind of say that. Yeah, there's nothing else I can really say apart from that Nick is the best character in My Family. As I mentioned, his relationship with Susan as well. Susan like absolutely loved him and always thought of the best of Nick, even though Nick was obviously not all there and a bit strange, if I'm completely honest. She really did care about him a lot, which I thought was amazing. And obviously, Ben obviously doubted him, but you can see that Ben really does care. Even when he does that stunt display team, there's an episode, I think series 2, where he does the stunt, like the motorbike gang thing, and it crashes, go badly wrong, and he goes to the hospital, and he's like, and Ben brings his teddy, Sir Edward Tedworth, and yeah, it's a great episode. Recommend that. Series 2, what a solid series that was. Series 5 was pretty good as well. But yeah, I kind of got to say that. But out of my all series 4 is my favourite. It will always be my favourite. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's, I don't know. There's something about it. Abby's character gets a bit more. Roger gets introduced, which kind of boosts up the show as well. And obviously Nick stars brilliantly in it. Series 5 is good, but there's less of Nick. He only appears in like 3 episodes out of the series, which is a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, and there's that great line when Nick comes back. It was like, "Where have you been all this time?" And he's like, it was like circle line, and then Ben goes, "You've been going round on the tube for the last 6 months." Like, that was just an amazing line. Robert Lindsay, I didn't know, just the way he pulled off Ben and Ben and obviously Nick, that relationship I think is amazing, as I've probably said hundreds of times during this video. But Nick as a character, I mean, sure, he's a big Wally, and he's a bit stupid, but not as stupid as stupid Brian or Abby, who is a very strange character, which makes Nick seem a little bit more normal, which is interesting. And also, there's an episode also in series 2 where Nick gets a job working as a tourist, and I really enjoy that episode as well, because you get to see him do even more weirder stuff. Like he takes him around a tour of the typical English home, and he like takes them to their house, which I think is quite funny. And then there's this other episode, I think it's in series 1, something like he tries chatting up this girl at their house party, and he was like saying, "Oh, I'm an astronaut." And he was like, "I'm not allowed to tell you how many times I've been in space or whatever." And he says like, "I was like, oh, that would really do it for me if you told me how many times you've been in space or whatever." It was like, "Oh, 7." So that was really a great line as well. So yeah, that's kind of. There's also another episode in series 1 where Nick, he's like had to stay at home with Janie and Michael, and he's like being like a parent. He was like a mother knows these things and stuff like that, which is so funny. He was like worried about them, pretending to be like a parent and everything. And I can't imagine Nick being a parent or a very good parent, to be honest. But well, his character obviously. But yeah, so that's what I find funny, is that he thinks he's a lot better than he is, but he's just funny as a great. And he knows that Ben and Susan doubt him, but he's funny and hilarious. And yeah, I mean, that show means a lot to me. I really do enjoy the show, and Kris Marshall was a big factor into why I enjoyed the show. His character of Nick Harper will always be forever just a truly amazing character. And I don't think the show, even long after it's a long time ago since it last aired in 2011, I can't believe that's so long ago. But yeah, he will always be the character people remember quite a lot. And I mean, some of the other characters people don't really remember. I mean, I don't really hear very many people talking about Alfie Butts from My Family. He was just kind of a Nick replacement, and he didn't really work as well, if you know what I mean. Because having a Welsh lodger who's now friends with Michael is a bit random, and he claims to be a friend of Nick's, but he isn't actually a friend of Nick's, because Nick writes in a letter later on in the series, I think it's like series 7 or 8, he writes that he's been somewhere, and don't let Alfie Butts say it, which I think's an amazing line by Nick. He didn't even say it. But yeah, that's kind of what I've got to say on Nick overall. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a video soon enough. And bye for now.